Timor-Leste's president calls for reconciliation at Asian Defense Dialogue. Community concerned about environmental impact of damaged mangrove trees in Tasitolu. Railakuleten residents benefit from thriving cooperative. Hundreds commemorates Australia's first licensed veterans in Melbourne. Welcome back to RTTL World News. I'm Zegedes. Leaders from across Asia, Europe, and America gathered to discuss peace and security issues at the International Institute for Strategic Studies Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore last week. Timor-Leste's President J. Ramazorta gave a special address in which he highlighted the importance of reconciliation and regional cooperation in a time of global uncertainty.
Diplomacy in action at Asia's premier defense summit. Leaders gathered in Singapore to discuss how states are managing their security partnerships in an increasingly fragmented international order.
Conflict is no longer geographically isolated. Today, we are hyper-connected across borders and across military, economic, information, and cyber domains. Conflicts in Eastern Europe and the Middle East, for example, have disrupted global supply and production chains far beyond those regions.
A war in Ukraine that has a direct challenge to a fundamental shared interest in peace and security. Total casualties in this war, which is now in its fifth year, are measured in the millions of lives lost. This war both illustrates and accelerates the fragmentation pressures.
Timor-Leste's President José Ramos Horta delivered the special address at this year's dialogue, highlighting reconciliation as key to moving forward.
Timor-Leste and Indonesia, a model of reconciliation and partnership. We show that history need not imprison our hearts and minds. History must not imprison nations. Wise leadership and dialogue can turn conflict into coexistence into friendship and trust.
Secretary General of ASEAN, Dr. Kau Kim Hoon, reaffirmed the Southeast Asian bloc's commitment to cooperation.
With accession of Timor-Leste as our 11th member, it is a timely reminder that even amid strategic headwinds, the project of regional community building continues, and that ASEAN's answer to a more contested world is not retrenchment, but deeper solidarity, broader partnership, and more purposeful engagement with the challenges of our time.
Meanwhile, President Horta reflected on the challenges faced by Southeast Asian nations.
ASEAN is not heaven on earth. Achieving consensus is frustratingly slow. Diplomacy can disappoint. Disillusionment can produce cynicism. Security challenge persists. The Myanmar civil war is a stain on ASEAN's otherwise impressive catalogue of successes. Nevertheless, in a world where bridges are being burned faster than they are built, ASEAN provides lessons on how sustained dialogue, engagement can safeguard against conflict and deliver shared benefits.
Australia's Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister Rttl.Ep spoke on Asia's maritime security disorder, claiming that a third of the total fish catch in Southeast Asia and the Pacific is illegal.
The fisheries of this region support the livelihoods of nearly 200 million people. Their systemic plunder is not just an environmental problem, it is a security problem.
Last month, Australia and Timor-Leste's defense ministers met to discuss greater defense cooperation between the two countries.
We're also increasing our military capability to work with our partners in Southeast Asia and the Northeast Indian Ocean and the Pacific to prevent conflict and preserve our region's security and prosperity.
Similarly, the United States of America reaffirmed its commitment to peace and prosperity in Asia and the Pacific and to forming new alliances and partnerships across the region.
Our interests in the Pacific are significant, but they are also scoped and reasonable, defined by a favorable balance of power in which sovereignty is respected, commerce flows freely, and nations retain the freedom to make their own choices.
Admiral Dragon concluded the dialogue by echoing a statement highlighted by the United States Secretary of War the day before.
If you want peace, prepare for war. A lesson identified that we keep on repeating. Maybe it is time we finally learn it together so we can move forward.
As some nations build bridges through dialogue and reconciliation, others continue to prepare for conflict in an increasingly divided world. Jerry Madeira, RTTL World News.
Last year, volunteers joined forestry officials to revive the country's rapidly shrinking mangrove forests by planting trees in the long-barren Tasitolu Lakes area. However, many of the trees have since died or been damaged, leaving the mangroves vulnerable to the effects of climate change and erosion. Thousands of mangrove trees planted to protect a vital wetland ecosystem. Late last year, volunteers collaborated with the Secretariat of State for Forestry to reforest Tasitolu Lake and commemorate International Volunteer Day.
It's a very important site in Timor-Leste, and we really need to protect this area. We want to make sure that Tasitolu is going back to its original conditions some years ago.
I'm hopeful that it will promote both human, animal, and also environmental health. So by planting these mangroves, it can hopefully protect the Tasitolu community by improving their resilience to climate change.
RTTL retraced the area 6 months later. Of the thousands of trees planted, only a few survived. Tasitolu supports a variety of habitats, including the lakes, mudflats, and mangrove forests. The area has been designated a wetland of national significance and an important bird habitat, accommodating several near-threatened species. Despite its ecological significance and environmental protection status, the mangrove remains uncared for.
Sometimes we saw people come to take trees out. We said to them, "Don't do that." Many mangrove plants died. We don't know whether this was caused by nature or damage caused by the community. It is true that after planting, they made a fence there, but no one guarded it.
Meanwhile, local pets also roam freely.
Dili authorities have often appealed to the public not to release their pets, but they ignored them.
RTTL World News contacted the Secretariat of State for Forestry, but they were unable to comment on the issue. Tasitolu Lakes is one of 46 marine and land protected areas identified by the Secretariat of State for Forestry. Without protection and educating the community on the importance of preserving the area, it is possible that the damage will continue until no mangroves remain. Jagedes, Judas Magno, RTTL World News. In its 5-year existence, a cooperative in Rttl.Ep formed with assistance from Merimi Club today has collected nearly $20,000. The results of the Haforsu cooperative were announced in Rttl last week, where a General Assembly was held to prepare for the cooperative being handed over to the government of Timor-Leste.
Years of contributions supporting the community. The multi-sectoral Haforso cooperative, established with the support of Mary McLeod today in Railakuleten, Ermera municipality, is making significant progress. For the first time, the cooperative held a general assembly to discuss the program, distribute interest among its 73 members, and hand out loans to community members in need.
Because we are new, our knowledge of sharing surplus is limited. So we cooperate with the Secretary of State for Cooperatives to share the money after 5 years.
The cooperative has raised over $19,000 in capital and over $5,500 in interest, 60% of which was distributed among members.
Today is an important moment for us. We feel happy. This is a gift we share to members to motivate them to be willing to join the cooperative.
When we joined the cooperative, we were successful and took money to repair our house and send our children to school.
The cooperative exists to support members and communities who need financial assistance, with funds contributed largely by local coffee and vanilla producers.
The advantage of this cooperative is that it supports members to access credit close to home.
70-year-old Guilherme Martins borrowed $1,000 to build a new house, with the cooperative offering loans to all community members with low interest.
I feel good because I pay the cooperative back with low interest, and the cooperative gives me a long time to pay little by little.
Mary McLeod today has previously provided training and equipment for coffee and vanilla growers in Reilaku to improve their businesses and access to markets.
Our community tried to learn to mill and process their own coffee. Then from there, they took it to Metinaru to the roaster. I think this is a chance that we can say is not too big, but enough for the people to have access to a good market.
At the General Assembly, Mary McLeod today confirmed that the cooperation is functioning well and will likely be handed over to the government in the next 6 months.
This is an opportunity for them to improve what should be better in the future, because when Mary McLeod exit them, so they will be able to already have their own ability, their skill that to learn from what they have done, they have learned for today.
Hopefully the members can do a good job and work together with transparency, unity and hard work, because this cooperative, if we do not work hard, if only 1 or 2 people work, we will not be able to move forward.
A community working hard to grow a strong and resilient future. Vicky Madeira, Basti Noronha, RTTL World News.
As the world marked No Tobacco Day at the end of last month, the World Health Organization is continuing efforts to reduce smoking rates and strengthen tobacco control laws in Timor-Leste. WHO representative to Timor-Leste, Dr. Arvin Matur, spoke to RTTL World News about the impact of the country's anti-smoking legislation over the past decade and the growing threat of illicit cigarettes.
So, Doctor, we have just had World No Tobacco Day. Can you summarize Timor-Leste's tobacco control laws and how they are intended to protect people from the dangers of smoking?
Just 31st of May, which is celebrated every year as World No Tobacco Day, and Unmasking the Appeal, the theme of this year. And in that context, talking about Timor-Leste World Tobacco Law, the decree law that Timor-Leste has promulgated as long as 2016. Right. And I must say and compliment that Timor-Leste actually has made very impressive progress.
Right.
That include, number one of the countries with the largest pictorial warnings, the graphic health warning on cigarette packs. The other provision that the decree law has was the ban on the sale of the single stick cigarette. It also has a provision of ban on the smoking in the public places, public institutions, public offices, and also on advertising.
So, Doctor, in the 10 years since these laws have been implemented, have smoking rates changed in Timor-Leste?
Well, yes and no both. The reason why I'm saying yes and no both, because we see the results of the tobacco control when it's effectively implemented. Right. And what we have seen, and I would quote some data because we have recently, not like say in 2 years, it has been the what we call as the NCD risk factor survey. That is the most recent nationwide survey that was being done. And what we have observed that the survey tells us that 60% of the adult use some form of tobacco in Timor-Leste. And tobacco use is very high amongst the male, almost 77% men reported to have the tobacco consumption and around 45% women. Like with the 43% of the adult male reporting smoking and 26% reporting smokeless tobacco. We are talking about also a very high exposure to secondhand smoking. And that secondhand smoking is even more worrisome because the finding says that around 80% of adults are exposed either at home or more than half are exposed at work. That means even you and I are exposed to secondhand smoking. Yeah. It's that big a problem. And if you look at the country, the tobacco consumption actually becomes one of the highest in the world. And it creates a double problem for us because it's a risk factor for many non-communicable diseases, be it high blood pressure, be it a heart problem, be it a stroke, be it cancers. But it is also, like kind of a big challenge when we look at the young people, the students. When we were doing the N-line survey for the school health program, what we found that almost like 1 in 5 students have reported having used tobacco. And these are very young students that I'm talking about.
So, Doctor, we found that there is a growing number of illicit cigarettes in the country. What are the dangers of illicit cigarettes?
See, one of the immediate danger of the illicit cigarette or any tobacco product is that that cigarette or that tobacco product will be available at a much cheaper price than the legally available product. Not only it means that a young person can initiate that cigarette smoking much faster and easier, it's a direct loss of revenue to the government. Because they're not paying the tax, they've just been illegally brought up. The other challenge is that it is also a loss to the business that is actually doing business legally, because they are losing their business, they're losing their revenue as well. Like in terms of other challenges that they are bypassing the whole regulatory network and the function. That means anyone, why do we have like say pictorial graphic health warning? So anybody who sees the graphic health warning say, oh, this is too bad, I should not start. But illicit tobacco or cigarette packs have no such warnings.
Thank you for talking with RTTL World News, Dr. Arvin.
Thank you so very much, Mao. This has been really a pleasure and honor. And I am so pleased that you picked up the topic of tobacco control today as well. Thank you so very much for your time. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
In international news, hundreds of people have gathered at Melbourne's Shrine of Remembrance this week to remember the First Nations veterans who served Australia. The event, now in its 20th year, came after a prolonged push to recognize the discrimination Indigenous servicemen and women suffered in past decades. A warning to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander viewers, This story contains images and references to people who have died.
Remembering their service in the midst of Reconciliation Week.
There was a time when Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander veterans weren't recognised. You know, they were excluded from the record books.
The Victorian Aboriginal Remembrance Service commemorates the sacrifice of Indigenous people who have served in all major conflicts and peacekeeping operations, including thousands in the First and Second World War. Many were refused pensions and entitlements and denied service at RSL clubs. It's a story Army veteran Mick Vorza knows well. His great-great-uncles fought in the Second World War.
One died in France and then his other brother went and served and came back and, you know, he couldn't even have a beer in the pub.
There is actually that really raw memory, but there's also this memory of mateship where the non-Indigenous soldiers stood up for a lot of people.
The service is the brainchild of the late Auntie Dot Peters. Her father died as a prisoner of war building the Thai-Burma Railway, but his family was denied the compensation other servicemen received.
The head of Anzac House was a Victorian RSL. At that time he didn't want the service and so on. It was very difficult.
20 years after winning that fight, similar events are now held across the country.
I just know how proud Mum would be to see the event today and to see all the people that come and turn up.
You can't change the past, but we can certainly change the future.
The red and yellow flags are back across Darwin's beaches for another year, with SARF Life Saving Northern Territory officially launching its 2026 beach patrol season. The organization is continuing its long-standing partnership with Darwin City Council, aimed at keeping locals safe along the coastline.
Flags raised in anticipation of another busy season on tropical beaches. Lifesavers watching on as swimmers, young and old, make a splash.
This is the start of our season. It's the official swimming season where it's safer to go in the water. And our patrols, which are twofold, so we have our paid lifeguards, which will be here at Nightcliff Beach from Monday to Saturday in the afternoons, and then our surf life-saving volunteers from the clubs, they'll be patrolling on the weekends.
The annual tradition, a visible reminder for beachgoers to swim between the flags and follow safety advice. Volunteers also reminding people about other risks.
Now, certainly in this time of year, the water temperature gets down to around 25 to 27 degrees, so that decreases the risk of crocodiles and stingers as well. But we still make the public aware of them.
Local leaders who've supported patrol operations for more than 2 decades believe the service is vital.
What we don't want to see is any deaths at any of our beaches. It's really important because there's so many people that don't understand how water works. The tides, the rips and the waves that come from time to time. If you don't understand what's going on in the water, then you put yourself in danger.
SARF Life Saving NT, who will be deploying more than 100 volunteers over the dry season, have a simple request.
Come and swim at a patrolled beach, swim between the flags, right? And if in doubt, right, contact us and we can give you some advice.
Ensuring a visit to the beach doesn't turn tragic. Isaiah Karim, ABC News.
And now the weather, starting with Dili. Partly sunny, a top temperature of 31 and a low of 21 degrees. In Bokau, periods of clouds and sunshine, temperatures ranging between 29 and 18 degrees. Mostly cloudy in Lauten, a high of 28 and a low of 21 degrees. And in Liu, partly sunny and pleasant, with temperatures ranging between 26 and 13. Now, looking abroad. In Kupang, periods of clouds and sunshine, a high of 32 and a low of 22. In Bali, humid with clouds clearing throughout the day, temperatures ranging between 31 and 23. Becoming cloudy in Jakarta with a top of 34 and a low of 25. In Seoul, partly cloudy with a couple of showers, mainly early in the day, a high of 27 and a low of 15 degrees. Humid with more clouds than sun in Darwin, temperatures ranging between 30 and 19 degrees. In Sydney, windy with partial sunshine, a high of 18 and a low of 9 degrees. Pleasant with sunshine, some clouds, and an afternoon breeze in Lisbon, with temperatures ranging between 23 and 15 degrees. Partly cloudy and breezy at times in London, a top temperature of 17 and a low of 11. And in Belfast, partly cloudy with scattered showers, a top temperature of 15 and a low of 10 degrees. Thanks for joining us again on the program. RTTL World News will be back with more stories on Sunday. Bye for now.